the place, and it is partially deflected. The Coyotes block the kick. The Coyotes block the kick. The Coyotes block the kick. And how about this, folks? On one of the more exciting afternoons that the Coyotes have seen in FCS football, Joe Glenn will become the 76th coach in NCAA history to get his 200th win.
Another thrilling finish, and this one solidifies South Dakota head coach Joe Glenn's place among some of the greatest college football coaches of all time. How's everybody doing? I'm Jay Elsen, and this is Coyote Corner. We'll have more on the significance of Coach Glenn's milestone win later on, but first, let's take a look back at how he got it. Southern Illinois, which dealt the Coyotes a 41-10 loss in Carbondale last year, making its first ever appearance at the Dakota Dome. South Dakota fell into an early 7-0 hole, but the defense helps dig them out. Andrew Van Ginkel with the strip sack on Mark Ionati. He recovers the fumble as well. It's the 9th sack of the season for Van Ginkel, and it leads to this. Ryan Sager, the QB keeper, and South Dakota is on the board. The defense wasn't done. They strike again on SIU's next play from scrimmage. Tyson Graham with his 4th INT of the year. Coyotes forced turnovers on back-to-back plays, with this one leading to a 10-7 lead. Back come the Salukis. Jonathan Mixon finds a huge hole up the middle. He rumbles 62 yards to set up an SIU touchdown. That, by the way, the longest run of the year surrendered by the Coyotes. Sager, though, says, "I'll see that and raise you this." He goes way up top for Brant Van Rukel. His only catch of the day goes for an 80-yard touchdown. That's the longest play of the year, period, for South Dakota, and it puts them back in front 17-14. It wouldn't last long, though. Southern answers before the break. Ionati from 2 yards out, his second rushing touchdown of the half. And the Salukis go into the break up 21-20. Coyotes got it first to start the second, and they make the most of it. Sager to Drew Potter for an 11-yard score, and South Dakota is back on top 27-21. But the punch-counter-punch continues. Ensuing SIU possession, Ionati with a dime to Billy Reed. He caught 5 for 142 yards on the day, including that 79-yard strike. Fast forward to the final 5 minutes. SIU up 4 and trying to salt it away, but Drew Iddings foils that plan. He strips Ionati behind the line. Van Ginkel recovers, and the Coyotes are in business at the Salukis' 19. 6 plays later, South Dakota facing 4th and goal from the 5. Game on the line, and Sager finds Aaron Ramsey wide open. First career touchdown for Ramsey that gives the Coyotes a 34-31 lead. But the job wasn't done yet. The Salukis still had 3 minutes to work with. They'd get it down as far as the Coyotes' 34-yard line, setting up Austin Johnson for a potential game-tying 51-yard field goal. But Iddings denies that too. The former All-State high jumper notches his 4th career block to seal it. For South Dakota, the Coyotes win a thriller, 34-31, to improve to 5-4 overall and 3-3 in the Valley. Sager out-dueled Ionati, completing 26 of 39 passes for 269 yards and a career-high 3 touchdowns. He also ran one in. Andrew Van Ginkel earned Valley Defensive Player of the Week honors for his performance, which saw him credited for 3 tackles, 1 sack, a forced fumble, and 2 fumble recoveries.
I just knew from the other PATs and field goals that I was getting a pretty good push, and so that last one I just got a little more and gave it a little extra, and it panned out.
We always said if we made it to the 4th quarter and we were in the game, we're going to win the game, and we did. And we have, almost every game. So we got a lot of good veteran leaders on our team, and I got a lot of poise on our defense and offense and our whole team as a whole, and we came out to win.
Just great team effort. Good job by our defense getting us the ball back in that situation. You can't ask for anything better than that. A lot of these guys have been in these situations before, and I think it's just paying off down the road that we're all older and have been there before.
Well, not only was the win Saturday vital to the Coyotes' playoff hopes, but it also helped Joe Glenn join some pretty elite company. Find out what number 200 means to him and to those around him next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back. Well, as you heard earlier, with last weekend's victory over Southern Illinois, Joe Glenn became just the 76th head coach in college football history to reach career win number 200, a milestone that puts him in the company of the game's all-time greats. Glenn's first head coaching opportunity came back in 1976, and 5 decades and 3 national championships later, he's earned his way to this elite fraternity of coaching greatness. But even in the midst of such an accomplishment, anyone who knows Joe Glenn wasn't surprised at the amount of humility the coach showed after Saturday's game.
If you coach 1,000 games, you have a good chance of winning 200. So, it means something, but honestly, it's the kids and the coaches that I identify with and the lovely people that I've worked with along the way at every school I've ever been in. So I have a lot of great memories, and I'm a lucky man. This was a huge victory for us, and it overshadows anything about my lifetime, as the here and now is what counts the most.
Now, even though Coach Glenn was quick to praise everyone but himself, his players and his athletic director didn't miss the opportunity after the game to recognize the man and the milestone.
Just so happy for that man, and really excited to be on the squad that did it for him. He deserves it. Just happy to fight for him every day.
I've been here 4 years, and I had no idea that he was that close to that goal, and so he just kind of kept it to himself because he's all about the team. He didn't really care that he was in the 200 club. He just wanted to see us succeed.
He just cares so much about us, and I think that's rubbing off on the players as a whole, and that's what made it so special for us to do that for him.
For those that really know Joe, and even if you don't and you've heard him talk, you know how much he bleeds Coyote red. You know what this school means to him, and for him to get his 200th here, I think that's almost a storybook. It's a fairy tale that you're able to have the type of career he has, to win national championships, to win bowl games, but to hit your milestone at your alma mater, at the place where it all started, is a pretty special thing.
Respect all around for Coach Glenn and his accomplishment. When Coyote Corner returns, we'll sit down with the man of the hour. Joe Glenn shares his thoughts about South Dakota's statement win over the Salukis next.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
And welcome back to Coyote Corner, joined now at the Dakota Dome by the newest member of the 200 Win Club, and that is Joe Glenn, head coach of the South Dakota Coyotes. And Joe, I know we talked about it Saturday. We heard your reaction immediately following the game, but now that you're a couple of days removed, has it really sunk in what kind of accomplishment that really is?
Well, I'm pleased with it, and but coached in a lot of games, and so sooner or later, if you keep coaching long enough, you'll probably rack up a couple wins. To me, though, honestly, it was the here and now, the game that we were playing. That was fabulous. The greatest thing of all was winning this game and seeing our guys in the locker room and seeing our fans, how happy they were. And it was a Kodak moment for the Coyotes.
Well, let's talk about how this game unfolded. They certainly don't get a lot more exciting than the one that we saw here on Saturday. It was back and forth all day. The lead changed hands 7 times. There was 800 yards of offense combined. That is fun for the fans, but is it fun for a football coach?
It's nerve-wracking, you know that. But it's a great fight, and we kind of knew coming into it they're going to score points. That's just the style of their offense, and they let it fly. And but our defense held their quarterback to under 50% passing. Ryan Sager outpitched him, as somebody said after the game, was the winning pitcher. And but both teams played their hearts out.
Statistically, Southern Illinois quarterback Mark Ionati is certainly among the best in the country, and he flashed that ability on Saturday, but it didn't seem like you guys ever let him get too comfortable. And what was the key to that?
Well, I had thought our superlative defense. We really had a rush coming. You take Andrew Van Ginkel and Drew Iddings and some of those guys that were just coming, and then we played great coverage for the most part. I think got one long pass in on us, but we had a lot of knockdowns. I think Mike Lilly had 4 knockdowns, and their quarterback was under 50%. So they're chasing him around pretty good, and we were on him real good. And I credit our defense for really playing great team defense most of the time.
Ionati is one of the best statistically in the country, but he wasn't the best quarterback in this building on Saturday. Ryan Sager had a really good day for you, and it seems like when the stakes are high, I mean, this is something that's kind of become more apparent as the season has gone on. When the stakes are high, Ryan's game seems to rise.
He sure does, and he is. You never see him nervous. He's a really cool operator, and he and Coach Basharner are hitting on the same all 8, and they work together really well. And Ryan knows probably pretty much when the play's coming in what it is already, and those two are in sync, that's for sure.
A lot of composure out of him as well. And another guy that showed some composure for you on Saturday, had a big game for you, was tight end Aaron Ramsey. He'd been pretty quiet for the first 8 weeks of this season, but Aaron comes through with 5 catches, 49 yards, and, of course, the game-winning touchdown catch, his first career touchdown, by the way, so it was a big one. Now, of course, Ramsey wouldn't have had the opportunity to catch that touchdown if not for the play of your defense down the stretch of this game. They gave the offense a lot of extra chances as this game closed out.
We were running out of prayers. We just couldn't muster a touchdown there late in the game, and our defense kept handing us the ball, but they did it one more time. Iddings got the sack, and Van Ginkel got the fumble recovery, and then even then we drove it down, I think, from the 20 to the 5, and that's when the play was covered that we thought we could throw, and then all of a sudden Aaron Ramsey changed his direction on his route and matched up with Sagers, and he hit him right between the 8 and the 0, and then we held on the last 4 minutes to get the win.
Special teams got into the act as well late in this game after the defense just holds on, forces that long field goal attempt. Drew Iddings gets that big old bit up there and blocks it down, and that seals the win.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it on the day, Drew's all over the chart. 6 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and a field goal block to save the day. So Drew Iddings was my hero Saturday on the defensive side.
And he wasn't the defensive player of the week.
No,
Another guy on your team, Andrew Van Ginkel, got that.
I think Gink owes him half of that.
Yeah, he does. Well, Joe, 1 win down, 2 to go, because this is you guys are playing for playoffs, and that's something that you haven't been able to say here over the last couple of years. So are you going to approach this next one? I know it's South Dakota State, but do you approach this one the same way that you approach Southern Illinois?
Yeah, our kids know. They know what's on the line, and they also know it's a big game between State and the U, and they'll automatically get fired up for this one, but they know we've got a little bit more riding on it, so probably they'll play just as hard as they did Saturday.
All right, well, good luck to you. Certainly everybody, I think, in the state of South Dakota looking forward to this one. Well, we've got more from the head coach coming up in a bit, but first, Andre Fields gets his chance to weigh in on the win over Southern Illinois. We're going to cover Saturday's storylines when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Well, South Dakota needed all 60 minutes against Southern Illinois. There were some ups and downs along the way, but they did find a way to get the job done. And really, especially at this time of year, that's all that matters. Midco SN analyst Andre Fields joins us now to discuss Saturday's storylines. And Andre, with about 5 minutes to play, this game very much in doubt. Southern Illinois had the ball with a chance to put it away. And that's when the clutch Coyotes took over. They made every single play they had to make down the stretch to win that football game. And to me, that's one big difference between this team and some of those we've seen over the past few years.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the biggest difference. These were the games that they could not finish and win last year. This year, I think the difference is, Jay, is that they have the guys that have been through those situations that now can pull the new guys along and say, hey, calm down, execute. They were able to do that on Saturday, and they got the victory.
Joe Glenn has said time and time again since he's taken over as head coach, we need birthdays, need experience.
Yep.
They've got those now, and that is certainly paying off, as you see. And this is not the first time they've made those plays down the stretch of a football game to get a win. All right, well, everyone's going to remember that takeaway at the end that led to what proved to be the game-winning touchdown. There's no arguing that it was one of the biggest plays of the day, but what could get overlooked here is I think that the Coyotes actually forced 4 turnovers total in this one, and the offense turned all but one of those into points, 17 to be exact.
Yeah, that's huge because that's what you have to do to get that balance from one side to the other. And some of the losses, you didn't have that. You had one unit playing well and the other one not able to feed off of it. They were able to feed off of those turnovers because it energized both sides. And when you get the points, it's just kind of a way of saying, okay, we appreciated defense. We did our job. Now go out and do it again.
Well, individually, a lot of the talk coming into this game was about Southern Illinois quarterback Mark Ionati, and rightfully so. I mean, this guy's having an incredible season, but the bottom line is Ryan Sager was better. And maybe the most exciting part of that is the fact that this isn't the first time that we've seen Sager outplay one of the top quarterbacks in the Valley.
Yeah, because he is one of the top quarterbacks, but I think he doesn't get that recognition because of his demeanor. And to me, that's the best part about Ryan Sager is that he doesn't get too up, he doesn't get too down. He's very even keel. He takes one play at a time, literally, and makes most of the time the right decisions. And that's been the difference this year. He's made the right decision every time. He takes what he gets. He doesn't try to force things. No turnovers again this Saturday. I think he's been very, very consistent, and therefore the offense has also been consistent.
People have called him, you have called him a game manager.
Right.
He's shaken that label, though, hasn't he?
He has shaken it a little bit. I mean, he's still managing the game from the standpoint of it's not on Ryan Sager's back to make all the plays, but he makes the plays that he needs to make as a facilitator of the offense, and that's gotten him over.
There you go. Defensively, Kianlagi might not have made the game-changing plays that Andrew Van Ginkel and Drew Iddings did on Saturday, but what he did do is lead the team in tackles for the 4th time in the past 5 games. The senior linebacker is in the top 10 in the Valley in tackles. He ranks 7th in tackles for loss. This guy has been a model of consistency for this football team for 4 years.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how you spell greatness, when you can do it game after game, year after year, and Kianlagi has done that. When we look back on his career as a Coyote, that's exactly what we're going to be able to say. Kianlagi was a great USD linebacker.
He is, and he will be remembered as such. He's having an all-conference caliber season. It's a league loaded with good linebackers.
Yes.
I'm not sure he'll get that honor, but he's deserving of it, certainly. All right, well, thanks for your time, Andre.
Absolutely.
I know you're excited about this weekend.
Yes.
It's almost time, folks. The next chapter in the South Dakota Showdown Series going to be written this Saturday at the Dakota Dome. We'll preview the highly anticipated matchup with the Jackrabbits when we come back.
Coyote Corner on Midco Sports Network is presented by Dakota Land Honda.
Rivalry week has finally arrived. South Dakota plays host to arch rival South Dakota State on Saturday afternoon in Vermilion. And here to help us preview the big battle at the Dakota Dome is Tom Nieman, who covers the Jackrabbits for us here at Midco Sports Network. And Tom, there's no doubt about it, the dynamics surrounding this year's matchup totally different than what we've experienced here over the past 3 years. Both teams have something very real to play for this time. It's kind of a refreshing change.
Yeah, it is. And South Dakota State has never, ever overlooked this game despite, the last 2 seasons with the Coyotes maybe being down a little bit. And it was close 2 years ago at the Dome in Vermilion in that game. But, yeah, you talk about South Dakota State, if they can win their last 2 ball games, they're looking maybe possibly at a top 8 seed and a bye in the playoffs. South Dakota, if they win their last 2, definitely is going to get a playoff shot if they can beat South Dakota State and Illinois State. So, yeah, we got all these playoff implications, which makes it great. But it's going to be great either way because this is the game you want to win every year.
The atmosphere is always electric when it comes to these 2 teams, but it certainly does add to it, and I think that's going to make for a more exciting day on Saturday. Well, let's take a closer look now at the Jackrabbits. Offensively, this year's team a little bit different than those we've become accustomed to seeing in Brookings. Let's start with that 2-quarterback system. We've seen Zach Lujan and Taryn Christian for the past few weeks now. How's that whole thing working out?
I guess it's working. It just depends on who you ask, and it really hasn't been where they've both played evenly in a ball game. They've tried this 2-quarterback system for the last 3 games. Zach Lujan was out with an injury, came back against Northern Iowa and wasn't ready to go, so Taryn Christian played most of that game. They played at Missouri State, and it was pretty even there, but Lujan played most of that game and threw for 250 yards. And then Illinois State last week for the Jacks. Lujan started, played the first 2 series. Christian comes in, and he played the rest of the game from there. So we'll see what they do against South Dakota. I would guess, I don't know for sure, but I guess they're going to start Zach Lujan again. He'll play a couple of series. Christian will come in, and then the offensive coordinator will decide from there what they're going to do. But has it worked? I guess you could say it has. They're 2-1 with 2 quarterbacks, but it's not an ideal situation, I don't think, for either guy. But Taryn Christian has been pretty good when he has been the man for the most part.
Very different guys, too.
They are. Lujan's more of a pocket passer and a great passer. He was leading the Missouri Valley in passing before he got hurt, but Christian can get outside and really make some plays on the run.
Well, the other noticeable difference is at running back. No more Zach Zenner, no more bell cow at all, really. I mean, they've gone with a committee, and it really hasn't worked out as well as I think they had hoped. The Jacks currently ranked 9th in the Valley in rushing offense. Can you pinpoint why they've struggled to get things going on the ground?
Yes, I can. They don't have Zach Zenner. That's
pretty simple, right?
That's what it is, really. And they've had a couple of guys that have had big games. Brady Mingarelli had 143 against Southern Utah, a team that's probably going to be a playoff team. Kyle Paris had 128 against Youngstown. So they've had some individual games that have been pretty good, but no one guy that has just taken over the way, obviously, that Zenner did last year. So they've kind of run it a little bit by committee, rode a little bit of a hot hand, and it's changed a little bit with Taryn Christian being in there.
Sure.
They've gone a little bit more away from just running the ball with the running back. So that's changed it a little bit. But yeah, the run game is down a little bit without Zona.
Well, there's nothing wrong on the other side of the ball. South Dakota State boasts the league #1 scoring defense. They're second against the pass overall. Would you say they've met or exceeded expectations defensively?
I think in their minds, they've met expectations. We thought their defense was going to be pretty good, and they don't think they play well unless they get a shutout. But every team sets that standard for themselves. But they're giving up a lot of yards in some games. They give up 460 yards against Illinois State, but only gave up 20 points. So that's kind of in the MO. Maybe give up some yards, but they're still only giving up 12 points a game in Missouri Valley play, which still leads the league. So that's kind of been the formula. As the defense has played lights out in the last 5 games, offense has played well enough, and that's what they're kind of hanging their hat on right now.
All right. Well, hey, we're looking forward to this one. Thanks,
good.
Tom, for your time today. Let's take a look quickly now at the series history between South Dakota and South Dakota State. I will say the details vary depending on which side you talk to here. The Coyotes calling Saturday's meeting the 110th all-time. SDSU says it's more like 108. They do agree, though, that it is split right down the middle with the Jackrabbits winning the last 6. So either way, the winner of this one going to gain an edge in the overall series. At least we think so. A game is sold out, but if you don't have tickets, Midco Sports Network, we've got you covered. Jeff Harkness, Alex Heiner will kick off our coverage with a live 30-minute pregame show at 12:30. Andre Fields, Carla Metz, and I will take over after that with kickoff coming just after 1 o'clock. Should be an exciting day at the Dakota Dome. Well, that is our time for this week. For Alex Heiner and Tom Nieman, I'm Jay Elsen. We'll see you back here next Tuesday night for another episode of Coyote Corner.